Welcome back to the Insurance Leadership Podcast. Today and over the next few months, we're going to be bringing you some of the best speakers in the insurance industry. We are down here at the annual ICMG conference, and we're going to be hitting on topics with key leaders about distribution, about leadership, about product development, and these are going to be episodes you do not want to miss. On today's episode, we have Marc Flood and Bryan Krul here to help speak about product development with an insurance company. What goes into it, what's due diligence look like, what's the expectations look like, and how you take a product to market. So with that, let's go ahead and jump straight into today's episode. Well, guys, thank y'all for being here today. I know ICMG 2024 in Miami, Florida. We got 1,000 meetings over the next few days, some golf, dinners, breakfasts, lunches, everything. So thank y'all, first of all, for taking some time.
Thanks for having us.
That's it. Well, look, Marc, why don't you get started? Give us a little overview. What brought you into the industry? How long you've been in the industry? And all that good information.
Sure. So Marc Flood, I'm Senior Vice President with Crum Forster. I've been in the insurance business for probably about 25 years now. I started out in an ad agency, and I only say that because that's where I met my wife, but
awesome.
Transitioned from there to actually one of our clients, which was a large TPA up in Syracuse, New York, that we did all large self-funded medical and workers' comp plans. So I was there for probably about 12, 13 years, and then took a leap of faith and went to work for another TPA in Connecticut, which was Travel Insured International. And that's where I got exposure to Crum Forster. Mm-hmm. They were our paper for I don't know how many years, a long time. And then Crum Forster acquired Travel Insured International probably about 8 or 9 years ago now. And then most recently, in the last couple of years, I actually jumped over to the E&H side to run business development. So been in the industry quite a long time, mainly on the TPA, MGU world. So, so it's a nice fit.
That's right. Awesome.
So, yep.
Bryan, how about you? What brought you into the business?
Wow. I'm only 25 years old, so it's amazing to say I've actually been in this business for 25 years. So. But it's been a great ride. I started my career, I honestly couldn't spell insurance. I took a job as an administrative marketing assistant for a local TPA. So we were doing self-funded groups and MIWAs and that kind of programs. And we transitioned quickly into ancillary lines of business. So voluntary benefit, worksite type programs. And we ultimately built out a technology platform which was state of the art. It was one of its kind. It was the first ever quote by print quoting and enrollment tool in the insurance market for individual health insurance plans. Cool. So it was really exciting to be like the pioneers and bringing technology into the insurance world. Big lift. Post that, we were part of New York Stock Exchange acquired us. They owned about 17 MGUs. We're in the small group space, large group space, international medical, ancillary lines of business. So give me an opportunity to kind of get an understanding of the breadth of the portfolio, just the vast types of programs that are in the insurance industry. So got really good education on the various types of programs, and again, a focus in technology. But technology was getting so advanced so quickly. There was a group of us, we left that organization, we formed a startup in 2009, and we were real excited about that. And in 3 years, we grew so much, we took it public onto the NASDAQ. Over the next 3 years, we were #1 fastest growing company on the Fortune 100.
Really?
So that was exciting times. Our focus was primarily ancillary products, but utilizing our technology platform, and we were a full service TPA. And then I exited there and came to work at Crum Forster, where now I'm Vice President of Growth and Strategy, working on new product designs, working with bringing in new distribution and new opportunities. But it's been a great ride. And what's interesting is throughout that 25 years, Crum Forster was always a carrier partner of mine. So I've always had that relationship and ability to work with Crum Forster on product innovation and bringing new product to market. So it was really exciting for me to be able to take the opportunity to work at Crum.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I have always liked the people at Crum. You guys, all the different partners you have, everyone's always first class. Blast to work with. Marc, we've had dinners for years now. And Bryan, I remember the first time I actually met you was here at this ICMG thing. And we met in a funny sense because I just checked out of my room. I did not have my wallet. It was already in my bag. I had my belt off because I knew we were going through security. I get to the register just to buy a coffee. and my key doesn't work anymore because I've checked out of my room. I didn't have my wallet. There's, of course, like 30 people in line, and I'm like, what in the world? You were behind me like, oh man, I got you. And I was like, okay, I like that. I found out you were with Crum Forster. I was like, oh man, just as the team. So look, why don't y'all give us a little, I don't know who wants to take this, but give us a little overview of Crum Forster, what y'all do, kind of the products y'all are working with right now, maybe even domestically and internationally, just kind of a 30,000 foot view, so to say.
Crum Forster, we actually roll up to Fairfax Financial Holdings, which I think you're familiar with, right? So just kind of start at the high level with Fairfax. They're a global publicly traded holding company, right? And Fairfax, or Crum Forster is actually one of Fairfax's largest holdings. We're one of probably 4 or 5 of their largest. But they have investments in property, casualty, and reinsurers, probably 25, 30 globally, right? So they're quite large. Crum Forster, we've actually been around. We just celebrated 200 years, 2 years ago. Yeah. So we're one of the oldest insurance companies around.
And that was a big party y'all had. I remember
that was awesome.
New York, was it?
It was awesome. It was awesome.
That was cool.
It was great.
That's how many people could say they rented out Ellis Island.
Yeah,
right?
that was special. I remember seeing the pictures.
We had George Bush there, and he spoke. It was really neat. A really cool opportunity. But so Crum Forster historically has been primarily a P&C carrier. However, over the last, we're 24 years old now, the A&H division. Okay. We're now about 37% of the entire pie. So Crum Forster, roughly speaking, I think 2023 finished around 5.3 billion. We were just a hair under 2 billion ourselves. So our growth for 2024 will have us well over 2 billion. So pretty amazing growth over the last 24 years. And you want to take a crack at like kind of some of our product stuff?
Sure, obviously. Yeah, obviously under the Fairfax Holdings umbrella, there's a lot of the property and casualty programs. Right. But ultimately in Crum Forster, what we're responsible for, essentially we look at our 3 different business units is the way we kind of split things up. We have our medical business unit, which is your more traditional plan, stop loss. Yep. We have a lot of ancillary products, all the voluntary benefit type, worksite type programs, accident, critical illness, those types of programs. And then we have the fixed indemnity, hospital indemnity. A new program that we're really excited about is the GAP program that's coming out soon. And so we're really excited to partner with the Morgan White Group folks on that program. So those are the types of programs that we have in our medical business unit. And then we have a life business unit where we just brought on a new unencumbered A-rated carrier. So we just made an acquisition of Monitor Life Insurance Company out of New York. And so we're filing programs and various life insurance programs through that. And then lastly, we have our specialty business unit. And the specialty business unit is really made up of the travel insurance, international medical, international health, K through 12, all the various kind of occupational accident, workman's comp, those types of specialty products.
And you guys are one of the largest players when it comes to travel insurance, aren't you? Am I correct in saying that?
We are. We're probably top 3, top 4 after the travel guards and Allianz of the world.
I think we're about 2 or 3 in the travel, and then number 1 in occupational accident. We're the largest player in occupational accident in the market. Yep.
Oh, very cool. Well, look, one of the things that I love about Crum Forster is how y'all are so focused. There's that laser focus with what y'all do. I like that, hey, you may have a TPA, you may have a distribution channel of some sort, but a lot of times you let people bring products to you and you develop based off what the need is in the market, and you'll kind of look at those. What kind of led y'all, because there's so many carriers out there that have their own TPA or have their own distribution channel. There's not as many that say, hey, look, I'm going to be the insurance company. I'm going to let other people do what they do and kind of take products to market, administer the way they do. What brought y'all to that kind of decision, or what led you in that path of just being the insurance company, so to say?
So look, every carrier obviously comes in and says, what is my superpower?
Yeah.
What is my core competency as an organization, and what are we good at, right? And so a lot of companies want to do a lot of things, and sometimes taking a lot of those operational, mechanisms and managing them in-house is the way to go, because that best fits their needs. We really came at it saying, what we're really good at is taking risk. We have a great actuarial team, we have a great underwriting team, and we know how how to assess and evaluate risk and understanding the needs in the market and where it can play. But at the end of the day, we're saying we're risk takers. What we don't want to be is we're not a technology company. We are not trying to go out there and say we have the best administration or the best customer service, claims customer service. We are risk takers. And what we want are organizations to come to us to say, we have a great idea. Will you take risk on this? We need your A-rated paper. We'll bring the rest of the solution. We bring the marketing, the distribution, everything else. We just really need a risk taker in your paper. And those are the types of opportunities we're really excited and looking for. There are some instances where we do some of the administration, but those were certain products based on acquisition. It kind of came with it, but ultimately our core competency is really underwriting and actuarial.
Kind of a true product manufacturer, right? We try to position ourselves as the kind of the brand behind the brands, right? Yep. Lots of times people don't know who Crum Forster or U.S. Fire is. But we really try to support other major brands that are out there, and you'd be interested to know some of the brands that are out there that we're actually behind. So it's kind of cool. Right?
I remember we came to Eatontown a few years ago, and I remember hearing that and seeing your model broken down and the org chart and how y'all did that. I was blown away. How do you feel like you guys are so successful in supporting, or how do you feel like you support the organizations, the TPAs, the brokerages, the different distribution channels? How do you feel like you're successful in supporting those different players when it comes to them getting products to market?
We all came in as former clients, actually, and I think our average client tenure, exceeds 17 years. So it's long-term partnerships. It's being thoughtful too about the partners that we work with too, and that we want to make sure that if we're bringing on another MGU or MGA or TPA, it's not butting up against our other partners that are out there. We want to make sure that everyone can kind of succeed and win. I think that's been really important to our success.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think relationships, as we know, is very important in this marketplace, and we try to maintain those. We have a lot of long-term partnerships. The other thing, again, is that I think when we take on an opportunity, yes, we look at the market, the needs, and the distribution plan and where it fits. But before we make a decision, the very first exercise is the expense structure. How does this work for all parties? Can all parties make what they're looking and what their intent to make? It is based on the predictive modeling and so forth. Is everyone going to get a fair share of the pie? Does it make sense?
That's right.
And if we won't even move forward if we can't get past that first phase, which is expense structure.
So that will bring me to a question, kind of due diligence, I guess I would say, when looking at a deal. I think that obviously is, I think you said it perfectly. You got to look at the expense. Does it make sense for everyone? You don't want to get through all the other type stuff and then find, oh, this didn't work, What do y'all do when someone brings you, let's say I bring you an idea, a thought, whatever the case may be? What does that due diligence look like on the front end? Is there a minimum production amount? Is there, what's that process look like? If for someone who doesn't know what that looks like, what does that look like from a 30,000 foot view?
I think each deal is unique, right? As Bryan mentioned, right? So you got to look at the economics of it. We've brought on some deals over the years that were incredibly small to begin with, but we believed in the business plan. We knew it was scalable, right? And so, we took a gamble on some of those, and they've really paid off.
Look, I think when we look at the expense structure, I think our flexibility and our approach. Being that we have done fronting only deals. We have a captive we're the largest captive in Grand Cayman, A-rated captive. So we'll do captive business. And so there's lots of ways to kind of approach a program. So it's not always necessarily what premium it is that's going to drive us to say yes or no. It's really the revenue and the underwriting and the profit associated with it. You can have a $5 million program that nets you a higher margin than a $100 million program.
Exactly right.
We try to take a step back and look at the expense structure and where it makes sense. Yes, there's a minimum threshold that we're looking for because it is a big lift when you do a filing on a product. Actuarial work, underwriting work, the filing, the implementation, the accounting, the setup, the due diligence, everything that you mentioned, it's a heavy lift. And so you want to certainly justify that. But we look at programs on a 3 to 5 year forecast.
Okay, that is one. So I love what you said. Yeah, that's right. 3 to 5 years, look it out. One of the things I like that you said a second ago, kind of looking at the value of the deal. I've seen carriers worked with before that, this $100 million in premium, but it was like a 1%, 2%.
Losing money.
Yeah, it's like all the time, energy and effort, but they're so focused on the big thing. I think that's another thing that makes y'all so good is that your leadership team, you guys, everyone that I've met is down to earth, knows how to look at this stuff. It's not, just some pie in the sky type thing. I mean, everyone knows how to evaluate a deal. And I didn't kind of prep y'all for this type of stuff, but when y'all are looking at hiring people, what are you looking for in employees? Because everyone I've met from Crum Forster has been sharp, easy to deal with, has a good head on their shoulders, has been in the business for quite some time. Are there any kind of common characteristics there that you guys are looking for?
You just hit them all.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Obviously good looking too, right?
Yeah, that's a given. Right.
I think it actually kind of starts with Fairfax, right? Because like their guiding principles and that, they've got a bunch of them where, no egos, fun and friendly place to work and those types. And it really trickles down to the different organizations within Fairfax. And Crum's a big believer in that, right? I mean, we hire people with no egos. We hire just good people that and good leaders that, want to take the business forward and develop. I think a big thing that we've really been focusing on, wouldn't you say, in the last 2 years is really developing the next generation of leadership in the organization as well. Really bringing in younger people and stuff as well. So it's been great. Good. It's been fun.
What does that focus look like? Trying to find the next generation of leaders and building them up. Have you seen anything intentional that y'all have done there to help develop the next generation?
Consistently. I mean, number one, not only do we offer like education and things of that nature, which is, something really important, I think, as an organization, but I think accessibility and exposure is, I think, where we focus. Our leadership group, take for instance, ICMG here today. We're 9 deep today, 9 or 10 folks.
Okay.
And we brought in some of the younger, new, only 2 years associates in.
Good.
And so we do that at various conferences, various meetings. We want to give them that exposure and access so that they can see how things are done and get ready and identify who has that kind of capability to continue to kind of rise up in the ranks. So yeah.
I like that idea. Bring them in, let them see the stuff. They may just be another seat at the table, not bringing as much maybe value, but at least they're seeing, learning, growing, and getting to kind of get that full experience.
I think you're starting to see it with some of the different organizations too, whether it's SIA or others are starting to have like young leadership programs too, where they're getting people in because they recognize like we're all in our 50s and we're all aging out, right? So anyway.
So what would you say if you had to, take a second to brag on overall leadership team? What would you say that they have done excellent to help? Kind of obviously training the next generation's one, but what would you say that they do extremely well? Maybe direct communication, maybe goals and vision and focus, maybe could be 1,000 different things. In each of your opinion, what would you say that they've done extremely well?
Mark's been here longer than me, so let him take the longer view. But in the short time I've been here, we've had so many strategic planning meetings. So I want to say that our leadership has such a focus on the future that the strategic planning that comes into play, and I'm talking every single discipline in the organization has their own strategy meetings. Then they get together and have a strategy meeting. The communication is king, and I think our leadership excels in that. And that's one thing. I think their planning and their vision is really, really something that we all understand what our goal is. We know what the vision is. We know how to achieve it.
And a lot of big companies will start losing that over time. That's awesome that y'all have that.
Yeah. So. Or they keep it at the high level and it doesn't
disseminate down to everybody else, so they know the race they need to run. That's good.
Really well said. And from our leadership to Gary McGetty, who started the business a long time ago. He jokes he started basically in his garage, right? Having that vision of saying, hey, we want to be $1 billion. Hey, we're going to get to $2 billion. I mean, he's challenging us now to get to $5 billion over the next 4 or 5 years, and we'll get there, right? And the one other thing I think they've done a really good job of too is the whole idea of really having a diversified portfolio too. I personally lived through that when I was still at Travel Insured International when we went through COVID. The travel business, which as Bryan mentioned, is second only to our stop loss business. It took a major hit. Yep. Yet the organization still did well because stop loss performed well and ancillary performed well. So having that diversified kind of mutual fund portfolio has been critical too, I think, in terms of that vision too. And that's been really, really key to our success. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, as we get kind of here to wrapping up, favorite leadership quote or favorite leadership lesson that you guys have learned or seen throughout your time? Maybe not Crum Forster, but just in the industry. What would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned, or your favorite leadership quote you've heard?
I think for me, one thing that always sticks in my head is a former CEO of mine always said, "Best idea wins." Check your ego at the door. Everyone participates. If you have an idea, best idea wins. Doesn't matter where it comes from. And I think that's a testament to a quality organization, quality leadership. So my quote is, I'm a big Raider fan, so just win, baby. Yeah. So that's my Al Davis quote.
I love it. That's awesome. Mark, what you got for us?
Well, I'm a big believer in like servant leadership, right? And Ken Blanchard's one that I like a lot, right? And he's got a lot of great quotes. But the simplest one I've heard is, leadership isn't about you; it's about investing in the team and your people, right? And I'm a big believer in that. I think we've talked about that. I think Crum Forster does that and believes that, so it's easy for me to kind of live that as well. So. The other one I was going to say, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball, right? Like, I mean, we were kidding around about that.
That's a good one.
I
like that. I like that one a lot.
Patches Houlihan, you got to give the shout out.
That is too funny. Too funny. Well, guys, look, thank y'all so much for being on today.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Podcast. Thank everybody for listening in. Remember, a good plan today is better than a great plan months from now. Thank you very much.